Imagine opening your doors to help someone who just got out of prison. You give them work, offer them a chance to rebuild their life, and welcome them into your business. But less than 48 hours later, that same person brutally murders you and your spouse inside the very shop where you gave him an opportunity. This is the chilling story of Jacob and Matilda Nestor, and the man who betrayed their kindness, Victor Tony Jones. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Briefing for more real cases that will keep you at the edge of your seat. Jacob and Matilda Nestor were an elderly married couple who operated a small engineering machine shop in Miami, known as Nestor Engineering. It was the kind of place built on decades of hard work and trust. On December 18th, 1991, just one day before tragedy would strike, a man named Victor Tony Jones arrived at their shop. Jones had been released from prison only 3 weeks earlier. He drove up in an orange Toyota, looking for work, and Jacob and Matilda, kind as ever, hired him that same day. Also working in the building was a mechanic named Ernesto Sarando. Ernesto later recalled seeing Jones that first day, moving in and out of the engineering shop, even washing the couple's cars. Nothing about him raised alarms, at least not yet. On December 19th, 1991, the Nestors' final day alive, both Victor's orange Toyota and the couple's Volvo were parked outside the shop. Ernesto saw Mrs. Nestor leave briefly in the morning, returning around 10 a.m. Case records confirm she visited a hardware store for tools. Later that morning, Matilda spoke on the phone with her daughter in New York, and Jacob talked with a tool supplier in Kansas City around 11:20 a.m. Both calls seemed perfectly normal. But within the next 40 minutes, the unimaginable would unfold. Jones cornered 66-year-old Matilda inside the shop. He dragged her into a bathroom and stabbed her repeatedly, leaving her lifeless on the floor. Moments later, he turned his knife on Jacob. Jacob fought back fiercely. He stumbled through the shop, overturning furniture in desperation, before retreating to his office and retrieving a .22 caliber pistol. He fired 5 shots. One of those bullets struck Jones in the forehead. It should have ended there, with Jones dead and Jacob alive. But fate had other plans. The bullet wound wasn't fatal. Jacob collapsed and died from his stab wounds, while Jones, badly injured, slumped onto a couch. Around noon, a UPS driver named Oscar Isardo arrived for a routine delivery. Finding the doors locked, something highly unusual, he knocked loudly but got no answer. Looking through the mail slot, he saw chaos inside, as though a hurricane had passed through. Suspicious, he alerted Ernesto downstairs. When Ernesto peered through the slot, he saw blood on the floor and a foot. They called police immediately. Officers arrived, confirmed what they saw, and summoned firefighters to break down the door. Inside, they discovered the gruesome scene: Jacob and Matilda's bodies, and Victor Jones, wounded but alive on the couch. When questioned, Jones claimed Jacob had pulled a gun on him, forcing him to stab in self-defense. But that didn't explain why Matilda was dragged into a bathroom and stabbed to death. Next to Jones lay Jacob's gun and several of the couple's belongings. In Jones's pockets, police found Matilda's wallet with over $200 and personal items. The bloody knife was in Jacob's office. Jones was taken to Jackson Memorial Hospital for treatment, then formally arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. 2 years later, in 1993, the case went to trial. The evidence was overwhelming. Witness testimony, the stolen wallet, and the sheer brutality of the murders painted a clear picture. The jury found Victor Tony Jones guilty of capital murder. He was sentenced to death. If you're finding this story as shocking as I am, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these untold cases. And if you haven't already, subscribe to True Crime Briefing so you never miss our next deep dive. Before the violence, there were lives full of meaning. Jacob and Matilda Nestor were not wealthy people. They worked hard, building Nestor Engineering from the ground up. They were described as humble, generous, and deeply devoted to one another. Friends remembered Jacob as methodical, patient, and proud of his craft. Matilda was energetic, kind, and often the heart of the shop. They were the type of couple who welcomed people in, even giving a chance to someone like Victor Jones. And who was Victor Jones? At the time of the murders, he was 31 years old. His life had already been marked by crime and incarceration. Just 3 weeks out of prison, he could have chosen a different path. The Nestors gave him honest work, a chance to rebuild. But instead, he repaid kindness with cruelty. It's that betrayal of trust, of humanity, that makes this case so haunting. More than 30 years after that December morning, the story of Jacob and Matilda Nestor still resonates. It's a story of generosity met with violence, of justice delayed but not denied, and of a community scarred by senseless loss. Now, more than 3 decades later, after countless appeals and delays, justice is finally approaching. Victor Tony Jones is scheduled to be executed in Florida on September 30th, 2025. For the families of Jacob and Matilda, it has been a long wait for closure. Their kindness, offering a chance to a man fresh out of prison, was repaid with the most horrific betrayal imaginable. The story of Jacob and Matilda Nestor reminds us how fragile trust can be, and how evil can sometimes wear the mask of opportunity. As Victor Tony Jones faces his final days, the memory of the Nestors lives on as a sobering reminder of both generosity and the dangers that sometimes come with it. If you found this case compelling, don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Briefing, where we uncover the most haunting stories of crime, justice, and human nature. And remember to share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the death penalty brings true justice in cases like this? Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next case.